Hi there, welcome to Clear Estimates and welcome to this introductory training tutorial for Clear Estimates. As a new customer logging in for the very first time, you should be seeing something that looks exactly like this. This is the home page and it's the very first place you're taken after you log into your account. Down here you should be seeing a number of sample projects which you can click and open up to take a look at right here in your account. You can also click into the search bar once you've created a few projects to search for customers or projects in your account and quickly pull those up. Over here on the top right, you're going to see 4 buttons: Parts, Templates, Options, and Update. And these can be thought of as your account settings. So your Parts is for your part library. If you want to add in new custom parts or adjust the pricing in your part library, you can do that from your Parts tool. Templates is your template manager. This is where you can create or edit templates that are in your account. Options is reserved for account options, so things like your logo or your company information. That's all set up in your options tool. And update is where you can update your material pricing or use pricing from a different location. Over here on the left, you're going to see these other 4 buttons: Home, Customers, Projects, and Reports. And these can all be thought of as they relate to individual projects you're working on. So Home and Customers is where we can start new projects and manage our customers once we've created a few. And Projects is where we're going to actually build up the estimate. Reports is where you can export proposals from a particular estimate. So we're going to be focusing on these 4 buttons today, and these are the buttons you'll use the most often when you're creating your estimates. So I am here on the home page, and the first thing I'm going to do when I'm ready to start my project is click New Project right here. And that's going to pull up this little window where it's going to ask us for some information. So what's cool about this is that it's going to let us create a new customer and a new project at the same time. So it's just going to ask us for some information: first name, last name, primary email, project title, and description. So I'm just going to create Todd, and we'll call him Todd Estimates. Then I'm just going to put in kind of a dummy email. And then we're going to give this a title. I'm going to say bathroom remodel. And then we'll give it a description. I'm just going to call it bathroom remodel. And then we're going to click Continue. The very first thing it's going to ask is, will this project contain multiple components? So what that means is, are there different rooms or phases in this project that we want organized on the proposal for our client? So we can always set this up after the project is already underway. We could set this up ahead of time just by clicking yes and tell Clear Estimates how many sections will be in the project. But we can always set this up later, so for right now I'm just going to say no, not right now, and then we'll click Continue. And that's going to take us over to our projects page. So this is where we're actually going to assemble our estimate. And everything on the projects page revolves around adding parts and templates to your estimate. So rule of thumb, this is where you're going to spend about 90% of your time in the software. It's where we can add our parts to our estimate and make any changes after the estimate is already underway. So there's a few different ways we can add parts to a project. We can type into the search bar to search for parts. We can also click Browse Part Library to open up the catalog of pricing that's in your account. You can create your own parts by clicking Create Custom Part right up here at the top. And you can also add in templates, which are essentially just pre-built estimates, a list of parts that you might need for something like a kitchen remodel or a bathroom remodel, and add in a whole group of parts all at once. So to search for parts to add to our estimate, all we need to do is click into the search bar and we can search for a term. So I'm just going to say drywall. And of course down below there is some suggested parts, so you can click those to take a look at those different suggestions. But in this case I'm just going to type in a term here, drywall. Then I hit enter, and then it's going to show us everything in our part library related to the term drywall. So you can see there's a lot of different options in here, so we can sort through this list. We're going to find a part that works for our project, So for example, right here I'm seeing install 3/8 drywall taped and finished over 300 square feet. So I can click the part, and then it's just going to ask us to enter in a quantity right here in this blue bar. So in this case, this is priced out by square foot, so it's asking how many square feet of drywall we're installing. So if this was an 8x10 wall, I could just type in 80 square feet. It's going to price out our material and our labor cost, and then we can click Add Part to add that to the estimate. So we just added that part for drywall to our project. In general, everything is sorted by category in Clear Estimates. So as you can see, it's showing me a lot of different categories of drywall parts. And right here I see that part I just added is in our wall coverings category. So if I click these category drop-downs, it allows us to filter by different category of parts. So everything is broken out by category in the software. If we click this main category drop-down, we can see all of the main categories of parts we include. So you're going to see everything from project preparation to demolition, everything down to framing, windows, doors, skylights, decks and porches, and so much more. So we can always start off with a main category first and then narrow our search using these other category drop-downs, subcategories, and part groups. So just for example, if I only want to take a look in 28 wall coverings for drywall parts, I can click this category drop-down here, and then I'm just going to surf down to 28 wall coverings. And if I click that option, then it's only going to show me drywall parts that are in 28 wall coverings. So that makes it a lot easier to search through all of the different options in your account. If I clear out my search term here, we can also just take a look at everything included in the wall coverings category. Now there's a lot of different options in here, so if I want to get more specific, I can use this middle drop down here for subcategories to break it out even further. So we're seeing options for drywall gypsum sheetrock, plaster, plaster and drywall repair, ceramic wall tile, and more. So underneath each main category of parts, there is subcategories to get more specific. So I just clicked that drywall option, and now we're just seeing all of the different drywall options that are in 28 wall coverings. So we can see all of those listed here below. And if we wanted to get more specific, then we can use part groups to drill down even further. So under my part groups, I can sort by different type of drywall. So there's drywall standard, moisture resistant, fire rated, and so on. So if I just wanted to take a look at moisture resistant options, I can click this here. And then it's only going to show us a few moisture resistant drywall parts. Once again, I can just click the part, add in my quantity, and then click Add Part to add that to the estimate. I'm going to click this Back to Search option down here in the bottom left. And let's do this again, but this time I want to add in a part for some wall framing. So I'm going to click my main category drop-down. Once again, this is how you see all of the main categories of parts in your library. And you'll notice that everything is roughly chronological to the way you might be actually doing the work in your project. So we're starting off with project preparation, then we're moving into demolition, and further down we get into the building portions such as wall framing, roofing and gutters, windows, decks, porches, and so on. So I'm going to select 10 wall framing, and let's add some wall framing to our estimate. Then I'm going to use my subcategory dropdown to get even more specific. So I have options for wood wall framing, sheathing, columns, knee wall, and so on. So I'm just going to select wood wall framing. And then I'm going to use my part groups to find specific types of options. So I have options for 2x4, 2x6, 2x8. I'm just going to go ahead and click 2x4. And then I'm going to click this first part up here, install 2x4 12-inch on center wood frame wall up to 8 feet tall. And if this was an 8x10 wall, I could just type in 80 square feet. And it's going to price out my material and my labor pre-tax and pre-markup over here on the right. Keep in mind, if there's anything further we want to adjust, we can use these calculators down here to make additional adjustments. So for example, if I know I want to charge $2 per square foot for material, I can just click into this box here and switch that over to 2. And then we see my material cost has been updated here on the right side. This multiplier, typically you'll just leave this at 1, and you can kind of ignore that multiplier. It can be used if you want to add an extra percentage to your material costs. Just for example, if I wanted to add 30%, I could change this to 1.3, and it would automatically add 30% to my material cost. But in general, you can just leave that multiplier at 1. Down below, you're going to see your labor calculation. The way the labor calculation works in Clear Estimates, by default, most parts use this hours per unit calculation type. So what that's saying is the amount of install time for each particular square foot of this part. So it's taking that number, it's multiplying it by your quantity, and then it's going to multiply that again by a labor rate, which you can see right here. We can also click this drop down to select a different labor rate. And if you add a different labor rate to your account from Options Labor Rate Editor, you'd be able to find that here in this list. If we were using a subcontractor for install, we could easily uncheck labor and quickly add in subcontractor cost. We could just tell Clear Estimates how to calculate that and then add in our subcontractor's rate. But by default, most parts will have a material and a labor cost included, and you can make adjustments accordingly. Keep in mind there's also a variety of ways you can price out material and labor cost. So if I click into these calculation options here, so right here in labor, I'm going to click hours per unit. And if I want to price out labor by the square foot, I could use $/unit. If I want to add in a flat rate for my labor cost, I can use lump sum. And if I just want to charge for a number of hours, I can use hours. So there's a full guide on all of the labor calculations included below, and the same for material cost. Or if I click $/unit, we can also just add in a flat rate for material. There's a guide on that included below this video as well. So once everything looks good, I'm just going to once again come down here and click Add Part, and that's going to add that part to my project. Keep in mind if you want to dock this part search on the left side of your screen, you can just click this box icon up here in the top right, and it's going to dock your part search on the left, so that just makes it easier to see your project while you're adding parts. So as you can see, we just added these 2 parts to our project. If we want to make any quick adjustments to anything like the description or the material cost or the labor cost, we can click into any of these columns and make adjustments. So if I want to change the description of this wood frame wall part, I can click my description, and then it's going to show me my description as well as my report text. Keep in mind that the report text is actually what shows up on the proposal for the customer, not this description up at the top. So if you do want to make adjustments to your description for the customer, you're going to want to use these report text options. So there's 3 different proposals you can export from Clear Estimates. There's a preliminary proposal, a formal proposal, and a subcontractor scope of work. So most of the time you will use your formal proposal, so you can click into this text box here and make any adjustments for what the customer sees. And then if you want to change what appears on your overview, you can change this text up here at the top. After any changes you make, you just want to make sure you click this checkbox to save the part. You can also adjust things like the category of the part just for this estimate, and make quick adjustments to your material cost or your labor cost just by clicking into these columns here on the overview. And if you want to take a look at those calculators we were looking at when we added the part, you can always click the pencil, and it's just going to open up your Adjust Part tool where we can make advanced edits to anything about this part. If we want to remove a part from our estimate, all we need to do is click the trash can icon next to any part, and that will delete the part from the estimate. If we scroll down just a little bit, we're going to see our actual project total. So remember, we talked about the costs in Clear Estimates are pre-markup and pre-tax. So they're just the costs to you. So this is going to show you your actual project total. Below that, you're going to see the dollar amount of your markup. And then down here in orange, you're going to see the base bid. So this is the number the customer sees. It's always going to roll your markup into the cost for the customer. It's never going to show your customer what your markup is. So this is the number the customer will see. It's our total project cost after markup. And just below there is your markup tool. So this is where you can set up a material, labor, or a subcontractor markup for the project. And that's going to apply to the whole project overall. So I can use the minus and plus buttons to change my material markup percentage or my labor markup percentage. We can also just click into these fields and type in a new percentage. So if I want to charge 60% markup for a material, I can just adjust that there. Once again, you're going to see your actual project total, the dollar amount of markup, and the base bid cost, the number your customer sees up here in orange. Down below that, we're going to see our alternates and components tool. Alternates are handy for change orders, or if you just want to show some options on your proposal for your customer, that's what alternates can be used for. And you can click the plus icon to create a new alternate. And components, like we discussed in the beginning, are just sections of your estimate, so they allow you to keep your proposal very organized for the customer. So when you think of components, just think of organization and separating things out by room or phase. So this is handy. Let's say if we had a kitchen and a bathroom we were doing in the same estimate, we could set up two components, and those would just be two sections of our project. So we're going to create a component here in just a moment. Before we get to that point, do keep in mind that this miscellaneous items tool down here is what you'll use to add tax or discounts to your project. So you can very easily just click this plus in your miscellaneous items section, and we can add in an extra line item for tax. We have an option between a dollar amount or a percentage for tax. I can just click percentage. And then I'm just going to type in 6% for my sales tax. And then we have some options down here in terms of how we want that to calculate. So we can do that based on the total markup, the base bid, which is the total after markup, or you have some other options for just the material or labor cost, either with or without markup. Once everything looks good, down here at the bottom, you can see your actual total cost and then the value of your tax item. So then I'm just going to click Save Item, and I've added my sales tax to my estimate. So now I'm just going to go ahead and create that component. To do that, I'm going to click this plus icon here in the Components tool. And that's going to open up this new page where we can create sections of the estimate. So we've just created a new section. We can see that we're in a component because component is highlighted in blue up here. And then we just need to title our component. So I'm going to click into this description, and I'm just going to call this bathroom. And then same as before, we can search for and add parts into just this component. To save a little bit of time, I'm going to add parts to this bathroom component using a template. So to do that, I'm going to click Add Templates. And then I'm going to select a category of templates. So there's a lot of different templates in your account. Pretty much anything related to residential remodeling, we have a template for. You're going to find templates for additions, bathrooms, decks, kitchens, floor systems, and plenty of different types of room remodels right here. So we said this was for a bathroom. I'm going to click Bathrooms. And then using the middle drop down, we can select a type of bathroom template. So you're seeing options for bathroom remodel, economy, premium grade, and average grade, as well as brand new bathroom, average, premium, and economy grade. So I'm just going to go ahead and click bathroom remodel, average grade. And then I'm going to type in a quantity up here in the top right. So that's going to be the total square footage of my bathroom. So if this was a 60 square foot bathroom, I can just type in 60 square feet, and then I can click Calculate Quantities. And what that'll do is it's going to price out this list of recommended parts you might need in a bathroom estimate based on the total square footage we added above. So all the quantities have been assigned and all of these parts have been priced out. Now a template's a really nice starting point for an estimate. It's designed to get you 80 or 90% of the way there, and then you can customize just a little bit further for exactly what this project needs. So for example, if there was something I wasn't going to be doing, so if I wasn't going to be installing this shower faucet set, I can go ahead and uncheck this part here before adding it to my estimate. We can also click into this quantity column and make any adjustments for particular parts. So once everything looks good, we can come down here to the bottom, and then we can take a look at where Clear Estimates is going to add the template. So right now it's set up to add it to our bathroom component. So then all we need to do is click Add Template, and then it's going to copy and paste that entire template into our project. So here we are back in the component, and we see all of those parts were just added in. So from here we can either add in additional parts to this component, or we can make any adjustments to the items that are here just by clicking into any of these columns. When I'm ready to exit my component, all I need to do is click this option to go back to the main project, and that's going to take us back to square one, where we can see all of the different parts that are in our project overall. So it's going to show us everything that's in the project, even parts that we've added to a component, but you can tell that a part is in a component because it will have this component identifier over here on the left, C00, and that just lets you know that that part is in a component. So then if we scroll back down to our component list, we see that section we created for a bathroom, and we see the value listed here. And then if we wanted to open that component back up, all we need to do is click the pencil icon, and that's going to open up our bathroom component. So I'm going to click back to main project one more time up here in the top left. And we're well on our way to creating a really nice bathroom remodel estimate. Up here in the top right, you're going to see a series of tools. Export Project is where you can print line item breakdowns of your estimate, or essentially just a printed version of what you're seeing here on the projects page. So this is typically for records or internal use, but you can export those here. This is also where you can export your estimate information to Excel. If you're a pro user, you can export to Buildertrend, and it's also where you can export to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop. If I click this More drop-down over here in the top right, you're going to find options such as Duplicate Your Project, which is really handy, one of my favorite features. It allows you to just make a copy of your estimate for a new customer to save yourself the time putting together another estimate, especially if you do a lot of similar work. This is a really handy feature. This is also where we can create an invoice from this project or view invoices we've already created. We can also set up a project status using this drop-down here. And we can also refresh the prices on this project. Always a good idea to duplicate the project before you do that. And down at the bottom, you can integrate Clearant for payable invoicing, or learn more about payable invoicing right down here at the bottom. When we're ready to send the report to our customer, we can click Send to Customer, and you're going to see that option right there to send the report off. But before we do that, we should probably preview our estimate. So why don't we take a look at our formal proposal. I'm going to click View Report, Print to PDF, and then we can take a look at how the proposal looks for our client. So here is my formal proposal. We can see my logo up here at the top. This is actually just the Clear Estimates default logo, and once you head into your Options tool and add in a new logo, your logo will display up here at the top instead. Below that, we're seeing the Submitted To and By section, so my customer's information as well as my own. Just below that, we're going to see our boilerplate language. So this is just some example contract language, which you can set up in Reports Boilerplate. But this is just an example to show you how that could look on the proposal. So we'll cover how to adjust that here in just a moment. Down below, we're seeing that bathroom component first. So here it is, C00 bathroom. And then below that, we're seeing all of the parts in my bathroom component. So you can see how this is printing on the report. It's showing our category title, and then a nice professional sentence of text for each item in our estimate. So once again, that's your formal report text for each part. So we can see it's a very nice, organized, professional proposal spelled out in a way our client can understand. Down here at the bottom, we're seeing the general project contents. So that's any items that aren't in a component. So those two items I added in the beginning for wall framing and for drywall, we're seeing down here under general project contents. And then a little further down, we're seeing our project cost. We're seeing that tax item we added in and the total project cost after tax for the customer. And at the very bottom, we're seeing our acceptance of proposal section for our customer to sign. So if we wanted to adjust that legal language, all we need to do is click into reports. And that's going to take us to the boilerplate tool. So this is where we can set up things like that contract language. So down here, I'm seeing different example headings for boilerplate in my account. And we can see that this general conditions example is checked in the F column. So what these columns are is P, F, and S, and that stands for preliminary, formal, and subcontractor. And these checkboxes are how you tell Clear Estimates where these different boilerplates will appear. So you can see F is checked for my general conditions, and this is what we were seeing on that formal report. So if we want to add in a brand new boilerplate, we can just click Add Heading. Then we can click the heading, and over on the right we can use the text box to give this a title. Then we can type in some contract language. And then all we need to do is check the F column, and that'll show up on that formal proposal. And we can uncheck that general conditions example to remove that from our proposal. Up here in the options tool, we can also set up a new logo. So if we haven't already done that, we can just click into the options tool. It's going to take us right to the page where we can select a logo just by clicking Set Company Logo right here. And keep in mind down here in the integrations tool at the very bottom, we can click into integrations. And this is where we can set up things like our QuickBooks Online integration, as well as payable invoicing through Clearant. So we can log into QuickBooks Online right here, and then we'd be able to export to QuickBooks from our account. Down here at the very bottom, you're also going to see this My Account section. So this is where you can upgrade or change your subscription from Managed Subscription. You can also cancel if you choose just by clicking Cancel Subscription. This is also where you can change your password or just look at general account info. If you ever have any questions, there's going to be a blue chat icon in the bottom right of your screen. So you can always click that option. We're available 9 to 5 Eastern Time, Monday through Friday, to answer any questions you have. And you can also click the support drop down up here and click over into support information, and that's going to pull up our knowledge base where you can find tutorials and articles about just about everything in the software. So this is great for weekend help, and then during the week, during regular business hours, you can reach out to us really at your convenience, and we'd be happy to walk you through anything that's giving you trouble. Thank you so much for joining us. For answers to more questions like this, head to help.clearestimates.com.